Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everyone. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري ويشرك في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. آمين. We have been studying the section Araf, 7th section of the Qur'an, and we studied up to the verse 34. I have taken a note saying that we have covered everything before, no need to go back. So, okay. So starting from 34, verse 34, so وَلِكُلُّ أُمَّةٍ أَجَلٌ. For each community, there is an appointed term, but the scholars understand each community is a social life of people, certain group of people, and for each person, for each community, but very rare scholars emphasize on the importance that to understand that for each species of animals, each species of plants, each galaxies, each stars, and each universe, which means the universe as well, there is an appointed time, as there is an appointed time for myself in general, as myself, as I am created, and also there is an appointed time for my eyes, for my heart, for my lungs. That depends on what we understand from, whatever we understand from community. So really kullu ummah. But particularly and practically speaking, for every civilization, for every group of people, any kind of people who gathered around an ideology or geographical togetherness, geographically being together, all of them are included in it. So we have to know that there is an appointed time for every being. Now, we understand from it that when their time arrives, they can neither delay it for a moment, nor could they advance it or take it forward. It means bring it away. But we understand that human beings can commit suicide. So it seems to be a little bit problematic because, look, appointed time is not decided by God, but the person himself. So let me talk on my behalf. I argue that no, it is when the person decides to commit suicide, and if he is successful, it means it is his appointed time. So there is no problem there, because anybody who commits suicide and tries to kill still is not acting on his own power. Let's say he is choosing. When he chooses, the result is created by God. So he, for example, hangs himself up, or cuts his wrist, something like that, or whatever. The way he uses, maybe he uses the gun and just shoots the bullet in his brain. But he cannot really decide about his death unless otherwise he uses his free choice to ask God to create it. And God creates it according to his own law, the principle of creation, which is called the order of the universe, Sunnatullah. That is fine. To me, that's all right. What is important for us from this verse, that the periods of the lifetime of a person or one of my organs, or the period, the lifetime, how long it lived in this world, maybe galaxies, billions of years, doesn't matter. At the end, there is an end for it. As long as there is an end, that is, it's agile, it is appointed time. There is nothing in the world which doesn't have any agile for it. It means appointed time. So as the Quran emphasizes that whatever is to come, as the Quran says, it's beautiful, short, you can memorize it. Kullatin qarib. Whatever is going to come is coming. Atin means the one who comes, the thing that comes. Atin, yeah. Comer, it means literally, it means it's going to arrive either today or 1 billion, 10 billion years later, doesn't matter. But it is near. Why? Depending on it, as compared to eternity, it is very near. So as compared to eternity, there is no far, there is no near difference at all. So as long as the creation is not eternal, there is no way to escape from the last moment of its existence in this form of life. But in paradise, in the next creation, as God creates here on a temporary base, the next creation will be created, must be created on a permanent base, because my Creator has given me the senses which does not accept temporariness, being temporary. Even the period of time is but 1 million years, and at the end of the 1 million years, an enjoyable life. When I receive the news, God forbid, that this is the last day, I would say, oh, I was happy in existence. Why? Is there any other way of extension? That is human feeling. This feeling demonstrates that we are created for eternity. Since there is no eternity or permanent existence in this world, there must be another type of creation that the Creator promises by creating my feelings, which do not accept temporariness. It is a promise. So it is an evidence in my hand, physical evidence that I am really experiencing in terms of this world. Verbally promise also I receive from my Creator, verbal promise, saying that Khalidina fiha abada, I will create you in a new creation, which is called in the Quran, is that, again, it's a very simple expression that we should learn this. It is very simple. Khalqun jadid, a new creation. A new creation continuously happening in the world. Any moment is a new creation. Any moment is a new creation. For example, I look at myself, I'm a new creation as compared to yesterday. But if we really use a very great, powerful microscope, you can see the change in my existence. I think you can see the change in your existence as well. That is inevitable. It means any moment we are given a new creation. This is another promise that the Creator is demonstrating his ability, infinite ability to create a new for in any form of creation in this world continuously. Why not? A new creation appropriate to the desires of my human expectations that he has given to me. This argument, I keep repeating this. Some of my friends might have been fed up with it. Well, no, this old man keeps telling me the same thing. But this argument is the most essential point in our understanding of the reality of our life, the reality of our existence, and practical solution for our problems. Practical solution. Why? Because we may not live with the consciousness of eternal life, coming next creation, new creation, a new creation, khalqun jadid. And I'm very hopeful, kullu atin qarib. I'm sure I'm going to die. Definitely. Death is inevitable for me. That's guaranteed. I'm very happy that it is guaranteed. I don't want to live in this world getting older, older, older. I want to get a permanent youth. I think everybody does that. Yeah, yearns for it. I wish. Yes, it will. So two things are related to this. Whatever is coming is near. It means eternal creation, a creation in the form of permanent form is qarib. Yeah. And also my new creation definitely is qarib. It's not, qarib means near. Sorry, I keep repeating the original Arabic, the Quranic word. So that is done from my side. If anybody else wants to share their understanding or any comments, any thoughts, maybe questions, I would like to hear you. Otherwise, I will pass on to the next slide. Good. All right. All right. Now, 35. Verse 35. Now, we are going to read the different, related but different, slightly different subject that we have been studying. So here we are, 35, children of Adam, Ya Bani Adam. Now, imma ye'tiyennekum rusulun minkum. When messengers come to you from among yourself. It's beautiful. You know, can you imagine the messenger were stranger to us? But really, I wouldn't like to receive, although it seems exciting, as the people usually feel that it is exciting to imagine angels bringing the news to him. But I wouldn't like to have the angel delivering the message to me. I would like to have a person, human being, delivering the message to me and practicing its content in his life. It's very practical. That's what I needed. I can make a simple analogy saying that I don't need constitution, but there must be a constitution. But I don't need constitution to my practical life. I cannot practice it. I need laws. I need practical side of it so that I can put it into practice. Really, constitution is very important. Yeah, the fundamental principles are stated there. But for me, the application of the fundamental principles is important. For example, I believe that the universe has been created by an absolute creator who is called God. Okay? He creates everything, every moment, every single being, every moment. That's fine. Okay. What shall I do? This is very important. What shall I do? Well, he's a great creator. I appreciate him. So what shall I do? That is why this is constitutional article that God created the universe, or the universe needs to be created by an absolute being. Yeah. So what shall I do? The practical side must be explained. No, there are other verses explaining, but very general. Pray. They really constitute the prayer in their life, establish the prayer in their life. What is that? What is that? I don't know. So supplications, practical application of prayer, and including all my intellectual side, spiritual side, bodily side, encompassing all my human side, and putting into practice. How? Now, I cannot do it according to my own expectations. But I can do it, but I don't feel comfortable about it. I don't feel secure about it. But when a messenger from among myself, it means a person like me, that I can acknowledge, I can recognize his activities and get an example from it and apply it as a human being, which is guaranteed that secured his representation of the practical side of the Constitution, which is the revelation, verbal revelation, the Qur'an in Islamic terms, and in Judaic tradition, Torah. Of course, they were all revelations from God, but it may be not as perfectly preserved as the Quran is now. That is not a great deal. The problem is, do we need an exemplary practical side of the message that God sends to me in verbal form, with an example of a person from among myself? It means a person I know, a human being. I can learn from it. Angel, still everybody wants to see the angel. Exciting, because we wonder, but this is a matter of belief. What does it mean, matter of belief? Not in the Christian term, the matter of belief. That you shouldn't use your reason, you shouldn't look for evidence for it. No. It's a matter of belief means you have the perception of this concept, and that's it. That's it. That's what I meant. So I would like to have it in my life. So the messengers are or have to be from my species, if you like. Right. And mm, yes, reciting my revelation to you. All right, my dear, excuse me. In front of me, I'm looking for in my at the end of minkum. يقصون عليكم آياتي. Yeah, I was looking for this part of the verse. يقصون عليكم آياتي. Okay, the translation says reciting. I would say, yeah, transferring, narrating, قصة. My revelations to you. Yeah, ayati. Okay, but we know, I'm not looking at the translation with a critical eye, because every translation is right in its own capacity, because they have to prefer one word for each word of the original text. So it is very limited. So according to the context of the verse, the words may have various meanings, but the translator has to change one of them. It has to choose one of them. So there is no way to blame the translator, but it is on the reader of the translation of the Quran that he should be aware of that this translation is only from one perspective of the meaning of the words. Meaning of the words has chosen. And this perspective is limited within the minds of the translator. But we have to try to expand it as much as possible by commentaries on the Quran. Written on the Quran, of course, written by the able, really capable people. Yeah. I mean, we have to try our best. That is what needs to be said in summary. Try our best. So when they narrate the revelations to us, God's revelations to us. Why I hesitated when I read reciting? They don't only recite, because the messengers bring the message. By the way, there is a need for information here. Messenger means brings the message, but we have to know that there is another verse, then another word in the Quran used for the employed people. Let's put it in a very umbrella term, Nabi, which means prophets, apostles. Again, translate it in a way you like. Every messenger is a messenger and is a prophet. Now, what is the significance of it? But not every prophet, Nabi, is the messenger. Because by definition, again, this definition we learn from the Quranic teaching, From the Quranic teaching, we learn that messengers bring message from the Creator God. And they are given either some small booklets, is in the language of the Quran, suhuf, scrolls, yeah, and books. Depends. Doesn't matter, larger content, shorter content, but whatever the message is received through the angel Gabriel, the message bearer angel. Now, but Nabi is the reviver of the previous, the messenger's message, previous message brought by a messenger. So they are reviving it. If they receive message to be delivered to people, a new message, renewed, refreshed message, then they are messengers and prophets. So here, Rasul means the plural of Rasul, messengers, which means they are revivals as well. It means they don't bring the message only, they practice and make it living entity among people. That is why reciting is not enough. We have to say, narrating, putting it in verbal form as well as action-wise, and presenting an exemplary template for the human being, so that this template must be used in every century by the people follow afterwards, after him. So this template needs to be adapted to the new conditions of the creation, as everything is adapted to the new conditions of the creation. Winter comes, the people adapt themselves to the living conditions of winter, and summer comes, they change it and adapt themselves to the living conditions of summer season. That is how God's Sunnah is. We cannot deny that. That's why those practices and the applications of the message needs to be updated, refreshed. That's what the scholarship among the Muslims, among Jewish great scholars as well. Jewish also rabbis are great commentators on Torah. Of course, Muslims are mostly so, though much better. So, by the way, historically, there are some people among us who know the subject better than I do. If I'm wrong, correct me. The Jewish scholarship was concentrating, or had been concentrating until the 7th or 8th century, when they encountered with the Muslim scholarship. They were concentrating on ruling side of Torah, but they learned from Muslim scholars, which is called theological scholars, or commentaries, or those scholars who made commentaries, learning the commentaries from the tradition of the companions of the prophet. And they were interpreting, trying to understand the message and making commentaries on their understanding on the meanings, the content of the meanings of the verses. So they learned it from, and they developed another branch of scholarship among rabbinic tradition, that they studied theological side of Torah teaching. That is, of course, comparatively newer tradition among the Jewish scholarship, but their great in-depth study of the, as we call it, fiqh, jurisprudential rulings, judicial side of Quranic teaching, they are really, really great. And I'm not saying Muslims are behind them. Muslims are exaggeratedly emphasized on the studies of the fiqh rules all throughout Muslim scholarship, although we don't see that strictness in the life of the prophet, as he as the Quran says, يَقُصُّونَ, it means as they narrate the revelation to us in practical terms, they were not as strict as now later on developed jurisprudential rulings are. But of course, the general public needed that descriptions and settled down rulings as if something stiff, as if something stable, never changes. But I mean, every scholar knows that this is flexible, this is adaptable to the requirements of the jurisprudential rulings in Islam, adaptable to the requirements of their time. It doesn't mean that their essence is subject to change. No. A very practical, formal side of them, depending on the conditions of time, experts will work on it and come to a conclusion, which is called ijtihad. Yeah, making final decisions about the content of the practical side of the Quranic teaching, and exemplary, taking the examples of the Prophet and seeing the flexibility in their life, in his life, the Prophet's life, and saying that, look, under these conditions, Prophet did so, and the conditions changed, Prophet did so, in slightly different way, so we can be in between and adapt the ruling, general ruling, to the applicable form of our time. That is very relaxing. Thank God that God didn't make a monolithic practical side, but flexible depending on the conditions and expertise needed. It's not me that I can talk about. Okay. فمن اتقى وأصلح فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. So whoever, those who are conscious of God and living righteously, it means really sincerely following the prophetic tradition presented to us in the human form. We have no excuse not to. Now, sincerely following means don't exploit it. As I said, now this jurisprudential side of Islamic teaching is flexible, although we who don't know about the subject really in depth, we think that it is fixed, that's it. No, the scholars know it, that it's not. It is flexible. It doesn't mean that arbitrarily we can practice it. For example, a typical example, we can change the form of prayer. No, I mean, you can change the form of the hands you hold on the side, on your chest, on your novel or whatever you call it, and on your belly. That is, but not the form of it in general. Now, for example, prostration, practicing it in a way that facing Qibla and the number of the rak'ah, but content of the each unit of the prayer, depending on your, for example, you can read 2 lines, 3 lines from the Quran, or you can read 2 pages, 10 pages from the Quran. Look flexible, right? But the Prophet made it sure that the first chapter, Fatiha, must be read in each unit of the prayer. For example, you cannot play with it. There's no way. But, you know, while you are, for example, making the prostration, you may stay in prostration depending on your taste in a 10-second or 10 minutes. That is flexible. That's the one. But I cannot say the unit forms and the prostration and bowing, it may ruku sujud. For example, this is how we should be in between, not completely arbitrarily. That's why as soon as يَقُصُّونَ عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِي, then it means narrating my signs to you, verses to you, and teaching you follows immediately for those who are conscious of God. So it doesn't mean that I can replace God's will with my will, according to my will. I would like to pray to my God in a way I like. That is not God consciousness. God employed the prophet to be followed as your life pattern. But flexibility in the pattern must be decided by the experts, and we have to follow the experts. Now, they live وَأَصْلَحَ, it's translated that live righteously. Yeah, one of the meaning is living righteously. The other one is really righteous way. They establish, they help the righteous way of living be established. It means try to help other people to learn what is the message, what the message is, and how to apply it, etc., etc. If you do this, there is no fear. There will be no fear, no grief in your life. You will feel comfortable because whatever your ability, potentiality allowed you to do, you did it in the best way that you could do. So that's why they said, okay, I must try my best and then leave the rest to my Creator and His mercy, that He will forgive my shortcomings and whatever I made, and wherever I made a mistake and I forgot and I lacked, or maybe I was defeated by my egoistic concerns. Of course, when I turn back to my Creator, say, no, please forgive me, I expect from His mercy that He will forgive me, and I will try not to repeat it and exploit the mercy of my Creator. For example, this verse is very important in this context. Now, فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. And it's very important that God's mercy should not deceive you. It means you should be careful not to misuse God's mercy. Gharra is a very, has many different meanings. So in this context, I would say deception. With gharra usually represents what is not real. For example, in the common language mostly used in the Muslim communities, that ghurur, it means arrogance. Arrogance means what?
Really, I don't think we have the right slide.
No. This is not the verse we are studying.
Okay.
I'm just referring to it, saying that, ittaqa wa aslaha. Why? We have to ask for forgiveness, but shouldn't exploit it. Right? So this is, I don't know, if you want them, you can search it nowadays. I think it is section Luqman, I think. No. Yeah, I think so. Wait. I'm confusing. Doesn't matter. You can say, وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ فَلَا تَغُرَّنَّكُمُ الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورُ. Nowadays, everybody is hafiz. Everybody knows by heart, because when we carry the iPhone with us, that's it, or any smartphone with us, we are hafiz. So there is no need. I mean, there is a need for memorizing the Quran. It is something else. But practically speaking, you can find it out. So it means we should not cheat ourselves saying that that's what God says himself. My God is forgiving, my God is merciful. Okay, that is why we should not have any fear, neither should we have any grief, depending on God's mercy. I would say with one condition, because of the teachings in the other verses of the Quran, we should not misuse God's mercy. Then God knows it. It means no mercy for us. But sincerely, I failed. Admit and not do it again. That is what we are expected to do when we fail. It is human to fail. Don't worry. But be careful. But in case you do fail, don't worry. So it means don't repeat that is what we have to worry about. If I keep repeating it, means there is a problem. Okay, 36. There is something in the chat box. Let me see. Tablet or tablet. Muhammad said this. Template, tablet. No, I meant tablet. Sorry?
Scrolls?
No.
Tablet.
No, template.
Oh, template.
Template. The prophetic life is a template. Yeah, that's what I meant. My friend is asking me which word I used. So, template. My pronunciation is, if you ask me, perfect. But some people, no, all of the people say, not that really. This is not really. So, okay, I hear from people, but I don't believe it. My pronunciation is really perfect. I think everybody thinks that his pronunciation is perfect. And that's what the people speak. But of course, you excuse me, I know that. Okay, but those who reject our messages, وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا عَنْهَا أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Again, studying the verse 36. The Quran is, it is rhetoric, it is language, the quality is amazing, or gives the flexibility of understanding of the content of the Quran. Here, وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا. This, the first where, the translate is here in the meaning of contrast. Those people who are conscious of God and they do good actions, righteousness, and encourage people also to do righteous deeds, and they are happy in their life, they have no fear, they have no grief in their life. They shouldn't worry really, they have to feel comfortable as long as they try their best in a sincere way, God consciousness. With God consciousness, fine. وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا, just the opposite. So it must be translated as, but on the other hand, when it comes to those who deny, now where has this meaning? But on the other hand, when it comes to them, well, in contrast to this, now that is where, that is in the meaning of where. How many meanings where in Arabic has? I don't know, 24, 26. So they say, they list this, but really a lot. So why I am mentioning this? Because I will come here. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا. There is another where. Here, where is istakbaru. Now, of course, when you read it according to Tajid, وَاسْتَكْبَرُوا. Where istakbaru anha. بِآيَاتِنَا means an ayatina, from our verses. they take an arrogant attitude. It is translated here, arrogantly disrespected them. Them means the verses, the messages of God. Now you can say it as the translation says in the on the screen, and arrogantly disrespect them. But it is organically tied with the previous phrase, who reject our arrogance, therefore, or that is why they arrogantly disrespect them. What means here in a connection, but this connection not extra. It gives the reasoning. You say, you read the verse like this. For those who reject our messages, why do they reject their message? Because they are arrogantly disrespectful to the messages. Where wins here? Because it's a give wawaliya. It is Arabic term. It means the reason is explained here. Why are they rejecting? Of course, we will talk about kadzabu, whether kadzabu is rejecting or what. Or really, we study kadzabu on quite a number of occasions, that denial, giving a lie to. Lying, the difference between lying, which is important, because the Qur'an keeps using this word. They belied the messengers. They belied the messengers. We just say they rejected the messengers. No, it doesn't mean that they didn't reject. No, not only reject, knowingly, consciously, they knew that the prophets are telling the truth. That is why they reject it, because they don't want to submit themselves to the truth. Why is it important? There are some innocent people, I don't understand what these messengers are saying. I don't know. I get on with what I have found with my in my society, or as a heritage from my ancestors. That's my way of life. They are not, if you like, I'm using the word kazabu. They are ignorant. Lying means you know this is true, but I'm not going to accept it. I give the simple example. There is a book on your table. And if someone says, do you have a book on the table? You say, I know. This is lying. But there was a book on the table, but the book was under my computer. I didn't notice that there is a book under my computer. I didn't notice. If someone asks me, is there a book on your table? I say, no, there is not. Is it lying? No, it's an innocent ignorance. We have to make the difference. Why is it so significant? I believe it is so significant nowadays to prevent us from being arrogant of ourselves. What does it mean? Proud of ourselves. Look at these people. They don't know about God. They don't practice God, any godly activities, etc., etc. So I'm better than them. They are deniers because they don't believe in God, do they? No, but we have to ask the question, That is why I take this word, which is used in the Quran, maybe, I don't know, hundreds of times, accusing the deniers in general. كذبوا, يكذبون, تكذبون, using different forms, but all of them infer the meaning that they don't know. They know, sorry, I'm sorry, something attracted my attention. They know and knowingly reject it. Now, let's be honest, all of us. Let me see. As far as I know, except one person, but I believe this friend of ours also lives in the United States. How many people in America, for example, knowingly reject the prophetic message, deny it? Can you give me the percentage, please? According to your approximation. I'm not asking you a real statistical result or research results. No. Your estimation. Anybody would like to? How many, what percentage of the people in the United States reject the prophetic message, knowing what it is and saying that I don't want to submit to it, so I have to say, no, you are not true. How many? Sorry? Less than 1%, my friend here says. About yourself, anyone from the room, virtual room?
I would say just general public in general won't even go check out the prophetic message. Especially general public right now won't even bother checking out the prophetic message. But if they do, I don't know.
Percentage. Give me the percentage. Correct. I agree with you, but can you give me the percentage?
Less than 1. Yeah, I would say the same thing. Less than 1. If they check it out and then reject it, it's going to be less than 1 because you don't know what it's talking about, or people are in denial. People want to keep going on cheating themselves, or maybe it's not presented well. So I don't know.
Thank you. I mean, it is not really more than what I thought. Less than 1%, but I don't know how much less than 1%. What does it mean? It means I should not compare myself with anybody else. That's one. Another point is I should not be arrogant saying that, look, I'm privileged, something like that. No, the more privileged, more responsible. But we may say that people are expected as human beings to investigate what is going on in the world, question why do they leave? This is responsibility. If they don't ask this, if they don't feel the need for it, that is another responsibility. This is not denial. This is not lying the prophets or saying that the prophets are liars. Yeah. So I really say you are lying to the prophet or prophetic message. That is something different. That is another category, which is called really in the Quran jahilun. وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ, sorry. Keep away from ignorant people. But it doesn't mean that here, if they attack unknowingly, in essence, in their attack, they are innocent. That is why keep away from them. Try to help them. If they give you the access to them, I mean, if they show that they can listen to you, of course you have to help them. Otherwise, don't really attack them because they are innocent in this respect. But ask them, question, man. You are a human being. You are given the ability. Don't waste. But when it comes to my practical life, I have to take up my own responsibility for myself and try to convey the message to those people who seem to be not believing in what I believe as the truth. Of course, if I believe that this is the truth, and if I benefit from this truth, I feel comfortable, I get rid of my fear, my grief, then I should share this peaceful life, very pleasant life with other people. I shouldn't be selfish. I have to do this mission in my practical life rather than accusing them, because they don't know the very, very famous prophetic saying that, look, these people are attacking me, these people are hurting me, these people are trying to really send me into exile, or get rid of me from my hometown and from my settled life. All right, but please forgive them. They are ignorant. They don't know. They don't know. That is prophetic attitude. So those people who reject our messages means what? It means this we're here because they are arrogantly disrespectful to them. But those people who deny the message knowingly are arrogant. The other people, not because they are arrogant, they are lazy, they are careless. I'm not saying they are totally innocent. No, they should investigate. They should use their human qualities. But my duty is not to accuse them, to remind them that they should use their human qualities and investigate. Rather than saying, why don't you believe? They are unbelievers, disbelievers, etc., whatever the title. So we understood the subject. Now, so let us wrap up with the last piece of this verse. Yeah. Another point is bi'ayatina. I'm checking my notes and some points, fine points that I wrote down from my very old, from years old notes and take the some, then write it here to remind me. It says, my note says the ayatina is important. Ayat means sentences of the Qur'an, which is known as verses of the Qur'an. Ayat. Miracles of the prophets, miraculous aspect of the Quran is ayat. And also, miraculous way of speech, explanation of the Quran, meaning, miraculous. No human being can comprehend the absoluteness of God. We learn it from religion or prophetic messages. Otherwise, people by themselves cannot really define God as an absolute infinite being. They say God, but they make it into a figure or something like very, very powerful, not absolute. Only through the message of the prophetic message, we learn that is miracle of the Quranic or revelations, scriptures, or scriptural news. We learn it from prophetic traditions. So, in other meaning, it's a very important meaning of ayat is verse. Excuse. Oh, I'm sorry. I am hurrying because I know the time is up. Evidence. Evidence must be clear. Yep. Clear evidences. Clear. It's not difficult to understand. So when I try to convey the ayat, it means verses of the Quran, introduce the Prophet with his messengers, with his miraculous demonstrations and miraculous way of life, really extraordinary life they present to us under their physical, historical context. Not everybody can really do that. I cannot do, even not near to it at all. So, but the prophets really do this mission, perform this mission. When I am presenting the prophet, etc., I have to speak with clear evidence. When I try to show the evidence in the universe, I have to present it in a clear way that the people can understand within their own capacity, within their own level of education. So I have to make the message clear. And the evidence must be not self-claiming evidence. That is very important. We know that what mostly we hear from the public speakers, we are Muslims, we believe in the Qur'an. Qur'an says those people who deny will go to hell. Evidence? Qur'an says so. It is not ayah. It is not evidence. It is not clear to the person you are speaking to or people you are speaking to. Unfortunately, we don't speak based on clear evidence. That's why we have to educate ourselves. We have to really have evidence for everything we claim to believe. Clear evidence. Why do I believe in the Quran? Why do I believe in the Prophet? Why do I believe in the hereafter, angels, whatever? Why? Must have clear evidence. That is the definition of ayat, and that is the mystery of the way the word ayah or ayat is used in the Quran in various contexts without changing the word and giving various shades of meanings to it at the same time. If you really wonder, this is the perfect example. I found it in the beginning of section, what was it? Come on. What was it? Section 1. Let me just very quickly. The name of the section, I did not. Jathia. Jathia is the 45th section of the Quran. At least first page, you see, you cannot make really the distinction what Quran means by ayah or ayat. The verses of the Quran, the creation in the universe, and the evidence manifested in the language of the Quran, rhetoric side of the Quran. You cannot make the distinction, mixed up. That is beautiful. Then this is the message of the Quran. Why? You have to treat them in the same way. You cannot make the distinction. You cannot make the distinction. Let's say this last sentence and finish, inshallah, end this section. We cannot make the distinction between the verses of the Quran and evidence in the creation of the universe. Every being in the universe, they are equally witnessing to the truth of the message of the Creator. So they need to be used each other at the same time. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة إن شاء الله. Let's meet next Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday. Next Wednesday, inshallah, we will get together with God's permission.